Jumbo, fellow adventurers, oh my gosh, I am so excited with the overwhelming response that we have received for this presentation, The Joy of Serving, how and why this can be your path. We have over 5,000 people, and the number is quickly growing. We might be at 8,000, 10,000 people. Then this will be hosted as a recording that you are here watching live or recorded. Deep gratitude to you. We're going to make this fun. I've got some major life epiphanies that I'm going to be sharing with you, a tiny bit of my story and how I ended up finding myself as one who serves. That was never my ambition. I want to live my life, my way, on my terms. And guess what? I do, but I'm serving as I do it. And I'm seeing myself as more than just me, but in everyone that I crossed paths with. And this is something that is inevitable in the arc of the evolution of consciousness, something I have discovered deeply in the last 5 years as I've divin deep. Divin is a word, I'm sure. Divin deep into self-realization, enlightenment, and the great awakening that we are now moving through. I'm also excited to share right now that I will be telling you during this presentation, as will my featured presenters, co-presenters, about an opportunity that is just a few weeks away, November, I think it's 7th. I'll have the exact dates in just a moment. The information is below if you're watching this on your dashboard, of how you might consider joining me, literally being trained by me and our team, joining a flock of 3,000 like-minded, spiritually in-tuned people as we reach those in the world who have not yet been reached with the truth of their beauty and their inherent power to live deliberately, command the elements, living lives in abundance, if that's a priority, financial abundance, nothing unspiritual about that, surrounded by friends, laughter, meaning, purpose. I'm telling you, service has become all that in my life. I will be bringing onto the screen some of my hand-picked favorite people in our IPPY community. I'll explain IPPYs a little later on, who will be sharing with you how they too have been lit up by serving others in their own way, on their own time, living self-fully, not selflessly. All right, I'm making up words as I go here. And then we'll have an opportunity to hear from you all. If you've got some questions, some thoughts, some concerns, you will become a better, quicker manifester because of this free workshop. Whether you are interested in continuing with me and the 3,000 other like-minded trainers, that's not nearly as important as that we fill up your emotional buckets today. Okay. So let me share with you first a little bit of my background and how I ended up finding that service is like the coolest thing alive. I was raised a Catholic. I'm recovering, and I've done quite well. I have much respect for all religions, all pathways. They're all leading us to truth, asking the big questions. Why are we here and what can we do with our time and space? But in my Catholic upbringing, I heard so many times about the importance of not only service, but putting the needs of others before your own. And right away, I knew that was not my ticket. I was like, look, I didn't choose to be who I am, a spark of the divine, so that I could, tend to other people's agendas. And to this day, I still hold fast to that. You are here to be you, to move to the beat of your own drummer, to give the divine source energy, all that is, a window into reality that it had never experienced nor felt before. You are all of that. You are sacred and important. Your worldview is the universe's worldview through your eyes. And so, sensing that I was not about to put the needs of others before my own, and not feeling any shame for it, nor should anyone, for me, my life's pursuit has been about understanding the nature of reality. Truly, that has been my deepest, most revered uh, passion. The metaphysics, the hows, the whys, the whats of living in these sacred jungles of time and space. And so, having a mom who was a little bit into the woo-woo, I was blessed to be exposed to some of these ideas that brought about the fascination with the law of attraction, creative visualization, vision boards, and affirmations. And it was all to my greater growth and glory. I was like, let me find the key to the universe and let me use that key to live the life of my wildest dreams with the abundance, the friends, the fulfillment, the meaning, the purpose. And by golly, while there were some dark nights to my soul in this journey, what I ended up stumbling upon was exactly the steps to take to live deliberately, create consciously, to the point where metaphorically all of my cups have been overflowing. For now, it's been practically 2 decades where, you name it, whatever I had decided upon in terms of my desired end results started coming to pass in ways that exceeded my initial humble askings. And they were not that humble. I was never too shy. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to be in love. I wanted to be loved. And so are these the birthrights of each and every one of us. But lo and behold, as I went down this path so selfishly, and as my cups began overflowing, I started to define myself as more than, Mike Dooley wrapped in this, camouflaged package of mobility, this human body. And I started to see myself not just in the world around me, but in the people around me. And what I replaced my yearnings for, since my personal ambitions had all been checkbox, 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 was like, how can I help those I love the most to experience what I'm experiencing? Because God, if I can do it, and I was no saint, anybody can do it. I was not perfect. I had my pity parties. I would get lost wallowing in self-pity and you name it, self-loathing, like what is wrong with me? If I can do it, being as negative and fearful as I often was, being as lost and at the end of the rope as I was, then I know anyone else can do it. And lo and behold, my life turned into one of being a teacher of these principles. And for me, it's like, I've shared with other audiences, one of my passions is planting trees. I live in an area in a part of the country where there's some wilderness and there's some common area and there's certainly a lot of space, and I've planted a lot of seedlings. And some of my neighbors have, expressed gratitude, like, hey, nobody knows how hard you're working on behalf of the neighborhood. Nobody sees what we see because our home is right there where, you're toiling. And he said, I want to thank you. And I remember thinking, it's like, cool to be recognized, grateful for the gratitude, but these trees are going to grow into absolute beauties. And nothing could be more fulfilling to me than to actually see a family having a picnic under a tree I planted 20 years ago, or birds or squirrels building nests in them. I'm grateful for the human recognition, but I knew that at a deeper level, The day will come, and it's come. I can drive by trees I planted 30 years ago, and they're awesome, and all those things are happening. And it's like, man, that that's more than a legacy. That's a little bit of me out there. That's a little bit of me, giving shelter, giving peace, creating oxygen. And it's exactly the same when you become a teacher of metaphysics and you're empowering others because it's on your terms when you were ready, and it's most what you most want to do. It's like, I love to be appreciated by perhaps lives that I may have touched, but the day will come, perhaps beyond the curtains of time and space. In fact, it's even come while I'm on this side of the curtains, where I can see that a direction of a life has been impacted, for the better. They found their power. They're under full sail. And I got to play a role in that? Like, are you kidding? I mean, meanwhile, my cups are overflowing, and that just never seems to stop. Like Thoreau once quoted, "You will wonder in your in days to come, at the abundance you have, and you will wonder where it was during all of those lean years." I'm not going to spend too much time wondering about that now, but that's taking care of itself as I am under full sail, and as I help other people find their sails and hoist them and choose destinations of transformation, prosperity, health, and rejuvenation. It's like nothing compares to knowing that at some level you helped someone in their dark night of the soul find a light, find their power, and start applying it. And it's like, I pinch myself. Nothing gets better than that. And as I've gotten to this point, 24 years since the dark night of my soul, it's not only do I look back and realize that my definition of self has expanded, which ties into the Great Awakening. No more separation consciousness and third density, if you know those terms, but unity consciousness, where you see yourself as one with the world and with the planet herself and with each tree that you befriend and each person along the path. There goes you. We wonder about our reincarnational selves. And this morning, some of you may have been there when I hosted Mariah Turlin from Berlin, and we're talking about who were we in a past life. You just got to look out the door, down the hall. There's another version of you. Literally, there's another version of you. We are all sparks of the divine, different lenses through which the same source energy pours. The same source energy animating me right now has always animated you. The same. And it's just our perceptions, our beliefs that allow us to take on fleetingly these roles of I am Mike Dooley, I am so-and-so. Not that those roles will ever go away. Once alive, always alive. Once incarnated, always a spark of God, forever ascending into higher lights. But the point is, you start to see everyone as a part of you. And so not only has my definition of self expanded, but I have realized along the way, as Richard Bach so famously wrote in his masterpiece, the little novelette Illusions, I highly recommend it. You teach best what you most need to learn. And so if you assess your life right now and you see pockets where there's room for great transformation, or if you're in the shoes that I was wearing 24 years ago, every element of my life needed transformation, then you can know that these have not shown up by accident. These are your ticket, your invitation to learning something about yourself that you had never known before, that once you learn, all of a sudden transformation and an upward spiral begins. These areas speak to you. These areas where you have desired transformation speak to you of what you most need to learn right now. And don't be scared of that. You chose this lifetime to learn those things. So if it's healing, if it's self-confidence, if it's believing in your worthiness, you are ripe and ready to learn these things, that your heart is open enough that you're here attending this event. The tipping point has been reached to your inevitable success. And it's now time to start spreading your wings in those areas, however fearful you are. And you will find that the lessons you're learning, you will be the best teacher of, even as you're learning them. And sometimes it's as simple as giving a helping hand to somebody, and it might not be so weighty or as complex as finding your worthiness or having self-confidence or falling in love with yourself finally. It might just be a handout. I got to tell you a little story, unplanned, but just illustrating how when you're overflowing, you want to just help people. I stood in line at Busch Gardens with a date 20 some odd years ago, and behind me was a mom and her son on a weekday. And I kind of wondered, she must have taken him out of school. I kind of wondered what they were doing, kind of wondered when I was going to finally get my tickets for Busch Gardens and go in. And it crossed my mind, Mike, just offer to pay for her and her son. That was kind of freaky. And this was before social media showed all kinds of people doing that kind of thing all day long. I didn't have the courage, and I didn't do it. And I feel the regret of that every time my mind goes wandering back to that day in line at Busch Gardens, Tampa, Florida. But I regretted it so much, not with self-loathing, but like, damn, you're ready, Mike. Give. I was standing in line with my wife and daughter a few years later, and I was at Disney, and the opportunity arose. I saw the perfect guy with his daughter on a weekday. I don't know where he was. Maybe he had custodial rights. I don't know where the mom was. I don't know anything about them. But I said to the ticket counter after this snake line, like, I want to go ask that guy if I can pay for him and his daughter. And she kind of looked up at like, this has never happened before. Like, oh, wow, you go do it. And like, she was trying to give me some words of advice. I said, I just don't want to make a scene, and I don't want to embarrass him. I don't want to imply that I can do it and he can't. I don't want to imply that he's needy. The line snaked in such a way that I was able to kind of lean over and I just said, hey, I want to pay forward some good news that I just received, and I'd love to pay for you and your daughter's day at Disney. And he looked at me, and I was like, and I was, by that time, butterflies swarming. I was nervous. I was like, oh, my wife was like, hurry. And the lady in line of the ticket booth was like, somebody's next. And he looked at me and he said, big smile, well, I'm not going to say no. And his daughter looked up like, what's going on? And then the adrenaline is like pulsing through me. And I went and gave the lady my credit card and said, come here, you're the next one in line. I tell you, I walked across the bridge into Never Never Land or wherever we were going that day, and I was 10 miles high. I was so profoundly affected. I was buzzing all day long. I was so thrilled that I got to do that. And I remember thinking, no matter how much this may have affected his life, and probably not that big a deal, it was just 2 tickets to Disney World. But no matter how much this might have affected him, there is no way he's buzzing like I'm buzzing right now. I mean, this is the other thing I learned. When you aim to serve, whether it's a financial gift, a box of chocolates, flowers, a training session, whatever it is, there will be many people affected by your desire, your intention, and the good job you will inevitably do. But none of them will be affected as much as you. None of them. And then, of course, when you're giving of time, giving of service, spreading confidence or whatever, you open the floodgates open to receive that yourself. You're like, I'm worthy. I know you're worthy. I'm going to give some to you. When you give, you are saying unequivocally, I'm provided for. I got this. I'm covered. I have sources. I have background. I have deep pockets. And so shall be the case. And this is true exponentially when you embrace someone's life and they're sitting in your audience for an hour or a day or 4 days or whatever the thing may be, and you're there giving your heart because this is what you were motivated to do, because you were following your passion, whatever your passion may be, whether it's trees or flowers or going to theme parks. It is amazing at how this will impact you, teaching best what you most need to learn. Because my mom was into the YouTube, into the woo-woo, because my mom was into the woo-woo and I got into metaphysical thinking, creative visualization, working with your beliefs, reading really cool books like Illusions, I always recognized this was my passion, understanding the nature of reality. But how do you put a business model on that? I always thought, use this stuff to launch a business. And so I worked with Price Waterhouse for 6 years. It was not who I was. So I quit cold turkey and launched a t-shirt business with my brother and mother. It was awfully slow going in the beginning, but we sold 1 million t-shirts. But by year 10, the trends were declining and we liquidated. And it was time to start something new. And so at age 40, I was starting all over again. The only passion I knew I had was metaphysics, but how do you can't eat metaphysics. And so I was at such a desperate place, I started sending out free emails, the kinds I would like to get. Emails from Mike. They were never that popular. But they evolved into Notes from the Universe. And then they evolved into free talks at Unity churches and Rotary clubs. And then they evolved with my underlying passion of metaphysics that you're even here. I know you share that passion with me, as well as your other passions. You don't have to go teach metaphysics, but you do want to follow your passion, because I have found that by following my passion, then the business model assembled around me. I dabbled with affiliate programs. I learned about viral marketing. I learned about e-cards. I started speaking to larger audiences. I was invited to London. It spawned a world tour. I was invited to The Secret. I became a professional speaker. There were more world tours. Then the books that nobody would publish, suddenly they wanted to publish because I was in The Secret. And I had a New York Times bestseller, Infinite Possibilities. It was like, I have often wondered, what did I ever do in my fetal mortal bumblings? As selfish as I always have been, and I still am, I just define self more widely, to deserve so much. It is crazy. I have discovered that your passion is your purpose. And your purpose will be to serve. For everyone, bar none, this is the nature of reality. In a blissful, joyful way, when all of your cups are overflowing. And you can serve for free, and a business model will follow, or you can serve for a fee, as some of our 3,000 IPPs, Infinite Possibility Certified Trainers, are doing, and thy kingdom or thy queendom shall come. There is nothing cooler under the sun than being of service to others. Although at first glance, those words would have made me run to the hills, because I want to live my life on my terms. But that's exactly what your passion will take you to a life of service, where your light shining so brightly darkens the paths of others. And then it gets better, and then it gets even better, and then it never stops. Well, I could go on and on talking about the joy of service, but there are some folks that I would love to introduce you to. First and foremost, Regena Garrepy, who sat in my first audience when I was teaching Infinite Possibilities and how one might reach those in the world who have not yet been reached. Regina was in that audience and came up to me afterwards and said that she had some training experience. She's a life coach. Could she be of service? And well, I was like, yeah, sure. And from there, she's never missed one of our Infinite Possibility conferences. She has become our director of training. How many has it been now, Reg? And welcome to the screen.
This will be our 23rd certification, Mike.
It seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
You haven't aged one bit, Reg.
Thank you. Infinite possibilities is anti-aging.
It is. Love is anti-aging, and that's what we tap into without calling it that.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
hi.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been a student of your teachings and the notes from the universe for, I guess, almost 20 years, which was actually before the first certification conference. I was pretty sure that those notes were written just for me. I'm sure people who are watching can agree. And you could say that I was a bit of a groupie. I was going to all of your live local talks, your world tours. I was reading your books. And I remember being so surprised at the time that the universe lived in the same town that I did. Now, I began my career as an elementary school exceptional ed teacher. So the desire to be of service and to help others, that was always in me. And what I learned, though, from you really changed me in many ways. It changed how I saw my life, how I saw my future, and really, most importantly, probably my power and the impact that I could have in the world. And then it led me to an even deeper desire that I had, which was to work with women who were like me, who had felt maybe a bit lost. They felt like they needed to reclaim their essence back from the societal and social conditioning. So I became a women's empowerment coach and a circle facilitator. And I wanted to guide others out of their feelings of unworthiness and depression and not enoughness. But truthfully, I was also still doing that for myself. So when you, Mike, offered the very first certification training 13 years ago this month on how to share the principles of infinite possibilities, I was still a fairly new entrepreneur and I was so excited. Like there was an opportunity for me to get to share this with other people, what I was learning. So I signed up immediately. I'm not saying that I was the first person to sign up, but I'm also not saying I wasn't the first. And I signed up for two reasons, right? One is I had read the book and I understood the principles that you were teaching somewhat, but I wanted to become a trainer because I wanted to first deepen my own ability to embody the principles myself. So if I could teach it, right, I could start using it in my own life. When I was living deliberately and choosing my thoughts, I always felt better. And if I felt better, then I could be of more service to the people in my life. And I also really wanted to go to meet my people. I was feeling a bit alone and I wanted to be in the energy of people who believed like I believed, who were living and believing in life's magic, and who saw that we could be change agents for our own lives in the world. I really wanted community. And so I did, and I found my people there. I mean, on Saturday night of the very first conference, I sat at a table with 7 other people, and we were all sharing our big life dreams. And I confessed the secret that I had of running. I wanted to run a women's retreat. And almost a year later, I did. And 2 of the women who were sitting at that table were with me in Mexico at the retreat, and they're still friends of mine today, right? So it's an amazing path.
What's so cool about your story, Reg, is that you were able to incorporate this stuff in building your business simultaneously. This was a business model that expanded your reach in helping those who had not yet been reached.
Yeah, it's so true. And it really started with that first idea of having a retreat. Prior to that, I was just coaching people one-on-one, but that certification and that work helped me to expand my business into doing group work, working with bigger groups, and also going out and doing retreats and hundreds of women's circles. I come from a place where I felt I had some what we call sister wounds, like having felt hurt and betrayed by other women. And I really wanted to heal that, but I also wanted to create that healing for others. And so I did. I mean, now I've led over 30 transformational retreats and hundreds of women's circles. And, I think that now, as my business has grown and as I've been more involved with the community, of course, one of the biggest benefits now I feel is that with everything that's going on in the world, we're able to bring hope and be a lighthouse for others in these times. And I know that that's a big way myself and other trainers are being of service in the world. And I just want to say for anyone out there who is a coach or who has a business or, is working in this capacity already, if you become a certified trainer, Mike very generously gives you the freedom to incorporate the work, like these pieces of infinite possibilities into your existing career. So you can use the principles to build your own business, but you can also use the curriculum that we give you, infuse that into your own workshops and your own coaching.
Yeah, we have kind of we use the open source model. So for certified infinite possibility trainers, and they become certified simply by attending the 4-day program, the one that's right around the corner right now, they can use the material I offer during that course, which is the bulk of my main material, Thoughts Become Things, GPS navigation, etc., royalty-free, license-free, reporting-free for life. And many of our IPPs, now with thousands and thousands, have created their own models, their own resources, their own PowerPoint presentations, their own kind of dog and pony show to reach either paying audiences or audiences that might be in a jail setting or a recovery setting. And they've made their resources, if you like to, available to all other IPPs. So you have immediate content to add to your own content, augmenting it into your own kind of course with accreditation from us. What are some resources available to trainers right now after certification, Reg?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say that during the conference, you'll be assigned an inner circle group. It's led by one of our crew leaders, and they'll be guiding you and a small group of attendees through the training. So you'll meet with them 4 times during the weekend, and you'll get to know them. And a lot of those relationships continue on. It's kind of like you have this little cohort to go out and start training with. And then once you are a certified trainer, you'll be part of our very engaged community. We have a Facebook group that's just for certified trainers. We also do regular Zoom gatherings for continuing education almost every month. In December, then we also do a Zoom social where other trainers get to meet because you might be at one certification, but there's lots of other trainers out there to meet and mingle and network with. You'll get access to our resources portal, which hosts, again, even all kinds of resources and videos and education, including a video for each of the chapters that a trainer does a demo of.
Yeah, that's cool.
You'll get all of our resources, which is our workbook, our student workbook, our trainer's guide that walks you through everything you need to start teaching, including lesson plans and PowerPoints, logos, certification, or the completion certificates that we have that you can give to your attendees. I mean, there is so much in there, including derivatives of IP, which we have a speaker who will be talking on that. But if you want to work with kids, if you want to work in corporate, if you want to work with people who are recovering from illness or injury, we have a special IP derivative that you can use with them.
Reg, thank you for impacting so many lives, including mine. You are a treasure. We love you. Can't wait for the conference in November.
Thank you.
Okay, Reg's story is so cool because she could incorporate it with her business. Um, the original offering actually came from me going into the Orange County jail system and speaking for free for almost 2 years on a weekly basis, trying to reach folks who had not yet been reached about the truth of their power and life's beauty. And it was in the jail system where I was speaking for free while concurrently running the little tut business I had founded that I met our next featured presenter, Norberto Perez, who has been at every single conference, including the very first one, as our keynote speaker. He's actually just released from jail today because that's where he works. And he's, I think, in a parking lot on his phone, ready to share with us and answer a few questions. Norberto Perez, an honor, the man, the legend. When I first met Norberto, he was like, "You look familiar. You look really familiar." And I had a very difficult time getting into jail, just because they really guard their their clients, as they call them. They didn't want me to just go in and try to sell something, take advantage of them. I was like, no, this is for free. And they wanted me to meet Norberto, who ran a wing of 70 guys, kind of like Robin Williams. He would, what's that movie he was in? But he would play classical music at, like, sunrise every day. And then he would show them The Secret and other such teachings. And he finally put it together and said, "You're in The Secret." I'm like, yeah. I'm glad somebody here finally sees me as not just someone preying on the prisoners. And he took me under his wing. He got this program to fly in the jails, and he helped us launch our first and every conference. Norberto, much love and gratitude to you. So where are you now?
Right now, I'm on my lunch break at the parking of the jail. Uh, I'll be going to teach a class shortly. But the message that I want to convey to everybody is how magnificent is to find people that are struggling in their lives and basically that don't have hope for the future. They are technically they are lost and they don't see uh, a way of ending that situation in sight. So it is it's just a privilege to find them like in diapers, in emotional, spiritual, mental diapers, and start finding out what is exactly what they need. And the most rewarding part of this, and I mean in jail or anywhere you teach the program, is that you can see how those minds start to open up and how you can see in their minds that they are starting to get the perception that life is more than what they have been living thus
Mm,
far and bring them a sense of hope and faith in the future. And once you start seeing that, you see how can even their facial expressions change. And it may not be that this is the silver bullet that is going to be the cure all, but it's the beginning of the long life journey because even myself, that I have been doing this for 37 years now, I continue to learn and find new horizons, to climb new mountains, and see new oceans of hope and peace and enlightenment on all the people that I work with through the years. And it's
mhm,
very interesting. Orlando is a small city, and sometimes I run them anywhere. I remember I was visiting a neighbor about 3 months ago, and as I'm coming out of the nursing home, this guy finds me in the lobby, and his face light up, and then he said, "I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. Let's go outside," because he didn't want to say in front of all the people that were there what was happening. And when he came out there, he gave me a bunch of hugs, say, "Hey, so happy to see you." This guy was a guy that had been arrested for several armed robberies, went to prison, and went through the program. And at the end, he had got a family. He is working for the city of Orlando, okay, from all places. And he was in cloud nine, and he said, "Listen, uh, changing the way of thinking was the best and biggest thing that ever happens to my life." And that's basically is what this whole process is about. As you hear more of Mike's story or how this came to be, the foundation of this program was on making this a better world and to bring the message to those people that have not been reached yet. Because the
Mm,
reality is, this is all about giving, it's about sharing. But the interesting factor about this is this: as you give and you share, you grow. And the best way to keep this program is to give it away. And
mm,
the the benefits, and I call them blessings, that comes to your life as a result of this, in my life it has exceeded my expectations, because it's not as much as what you teach to other people, is what you learn about life and yourself in the process of teaching others. It
wow.
is a transformational journey that is going to touch your heart, touch your mind, and touch your spirit. But that's not the most important part of this. The most important part is like you are basically founding or developing a legacy for the people that you are going to be in contact with, because it's not only the students that are going to benefit from this, it's their families. And as they adopt this way of life, that is going to have a ripple effect that is
Mm,
probably going to touch people for generations. So i I don't want you to believe what I say. Just try it and see the benefits for yourself.
mhm.
uh, it's really very humbling. And one of the things that I keep saying is that I'm just a humble, grateful servant to humanity. And we all are humble, grateful servants to humanity, because it's been through history, it's been said that if you want to be happy for life, help other people. That's the foundation for eternal happiness. And when we bring other people happiness and joy, we are bringing it to ourselves. I like to quote the great Zig Ziglar that said, "You can get in life what you want if you help other people to get what they want." So, and the most important part of that is you can change who you are by changing what goes into your mind. And with that said, the amount of other resources that you get from the organization, and how it opens your eyes to new techniques, to new ideas, to new philosophies, is a transformational event in everyone's that participate in these groups, in their lives
Mhm.
and the lives that are of the people that they are related to.
Yeah. Norberto, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Even now, going to such an extreme to contribute to this event and sharing your words of wisdom. We love you so much. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
See you at the conference.
Yes. And to add on to what Norberto was saying, my gosh, it's one thing to help, but when your help actually empowers other people, and that makes me think of the very first spark for this program was when I was doing a book signing tour on the heels of the release of the book, Infinite Possibilities, The Art of Living Your Dreams, I stumbled across, almost literally, a homeless woman who turned out to be like a teenager in Portland, Oregon. I was kind of horrified, and I thought, oh my God. Silently, I shrieked, you don't have to live like this. You're powerful. Your thoughts become things. But another voice in my head, there's usually more than one, was like, but she doesn't know that. And I thought, what can I do? I've got an appointment. I've got an audience to meet. I can't sit down and be her life coach. How can I tell her who she really is and the options at her disposal? And it dawned on me, it was a book signing tour. Get a copy of your book before you go to the arena. Drop it off. Give her your book, Infinite Possibilities. I did just that. She looked back up. There's that guy again. I said, hey, I'm an author. I'm in town. May I give you a copy of my newest book? And I was expecting to be rebuked. Like, don't try to fix my life. But she lit up like the sun. She said, I love to read. And she took it. And it was like, again, I was on cloud nine. It was like, and the thoughts that came from my head after that was like, how can I reach more people who have not yet been reached? Because most people haven't seen The Secret. Most people didn't have a mom like mine. Most people don't know about the art of creative visualization. Arts that we're all learning to use right now. When we teach them, we see them from a new light and we teach ourselves. So it's like, the giving is unending and everyone is a spark of you. Anyway, that was Norberto. He made this movement possible. And now I want to introduce you to a really extraordinary woman, Rebecca Psigoda. Oh my gosh, where were you my whole life? We didn't meet until 2015. She attended one of our early Infinite Possibilities certification program. And she has exemplified and illustrated how you can blend our material, license-free, royalty-free, into your own material. Welcome to the screen, Rebecca Psigoda.
Hi, Mike.
Why don't you tell everybody what you've done with Infinite Possibilities and how you've taken it to another and another and another level?
Oh, okay. Well, let me begin with, it was 2012. So I attended the second Infinite Possibilities course. And when I showed up, my life was an absolute disaster. I mean, it was a mess. I was 54 years old. I was unhappy in probably every category of my life. And I was also a very quiet person. I was a very reserved person. I grew up in an abusive environment. And so I played small my entire life. And about 2 weeks into 2012, I started getting these notes from the universe. Sorry, Mike, but I had never heard of you. I didn't know where the notes came from. They just started showing up. So I'm assuming someone signed me up, but I think of it as divine intervention. Because at the bottom of one, it said, come to our Train the Trainer in Orlando, Florida. And the voice came into my head and said, you need to do this because one day you're going to work with the younger you. So I signed up, I attended. I was scared out of my mind. I did not attend anything where there were large crowds and lots of people. It's not who I am, but I did. And as I sat there and listened to the words, it just resonated as the truth. And I went home and thought, okay, so this is great. This material is amazing, but I can't do this. I don't have enough of any of the things I saw those people on the stage with. I'm not a presenter. I'm not a teacher. I'm not the lawyer who I saw give this great talk. I'm not Mike. And so I thought, but you know what? This is an empowerment program. So I'm going to take myself through the program first. And as I did, my life began to change. And it changed, and it changed, and it changed. And within 6 months, I had a dozen stories that I thought, nobody's going to believe this happened. But I followed the program. I did manage my thoughts. I did look at my limiting beliefs. I did start controlling my emotions. So I think of this as a mind management program. And when you begin to manage your own mind consciously and deliberately, things change. Anyway, I finally got the courage to begin training. And by 2014, I had earned what's called trailblazer status. That means you have an opportunity to speak at a conference and give a trailblazer talk. I showed up in a turtle costume. And I spoke to the people in the room who felt like me, like, I don't want to be in front of people. I don't want to speak up. I feel small and sheltered, and it worked. It went well. After I spent close to 2 years working with first one-on-ones, then small groups, then doing retreats, I finally had the courage to go after who that voice told me I would work with, the younger me. I went to the domestic abuse shelters and they said, no, thank you. I went to the Rape Crisis Center and they said, no, thank you. And these are all stories that I tell in more detail at the conference. And eventually, sharing my frustrations, a friend of mine who worked with the Homeless Families Foundation said, Rebecca, could you teach this program to kids? And I said, well, it's not a kids program. And she said, yes, I know, but could you make it one? I showed up at the center. I met with her. I met with the kids. And there on the wall was a giant mural of the painting of the cover of Mike's children's book, Dreams Come True, All They Need Is You. And as I read the words, all they need is you, the voice jumped back into my head like, yeah, it's you we're talking to right here. You, Rebecca Psigoda. And from there, I started to build the children's program. And by the following year, other trainers were asking for it. It's now available through the TUT resources to all trainers coming in. So it's part of those open source materials that Mike was talking about. So in addition to Mike's version of the program, there is a derivative, the children's version, and it's for everyone to use.
It's called I Believe in Me. And
it's called I Believe in Me. And then in 2022, someone told me they used that with a friend's mother who had dementia, and it worked really well. So I worked on it with her. She's a prolific author by the name of Jen Stark, and we rewrote it together once again for those with dementia. But as we were writing it, we realized it could be for more than that. It could be if you had a horrible illness or injury, or you had just reached a point where you've given up, you have no hope left. This was to create hope in your life again. It's a way to coax you and motivate you to dream again. So that version is called Infinite Possibilities for the Well-Traveled Soul. That is also available for all trainers, past, present, and future. So those are the two versions that I worked on and created. In addition, I've been speaking at the conferences since 2014, and I do share with you much more in detail about the stories, about the things that have happened, and about what's in those versions of the program for your use.
And
so that's me.
I hate to ask such an obvious, perhaps, question, but has it been good for you? Has it been a fun ride? Are you glad you stepped out back in 2012?
I am so glad. I tell Mike and I tell anyone who will listen that, people ask you, what's that thing you've ever done that changed your life? It was this, because those things wouldn't have happened had I not taken this program. Had I not, first of all, tapped into my own power to do and create something. And what I'll share is that, it's been a while for me now, but now my life is so full, as Mike talks about. There's nothing that I don't ask for that doesn't come true. Seriously. Whatever it is. I'm working with the I Believe in Me program now with an organization called A Child's Hope Foundation. I think they're actually on here listening. And they have through them and through their connections, over 600 orphanages that we are putting the program into. We recently put it in a safe house in Mexico. And Mike, if there's time, could I share the testimonial from there that just came in a few days ago? I think I sent it to you. It's rather lengthy, but I think it's powerful. How do you feel about that?
Very, very powerful. Well, we're tight on time, but if you could extract some of the nuggets, it brought me to tears. Please do.
Yeah, me as well. So there's a safe house in Mexico that after my last conference, I donated whatever profits I made to this safe house, but I also offered them the I Believe in Me program because it's a safe house that rescues trafficked children, sex trafficked, labor trafficked. These are children who have been sold. I I can't even wrap my head around that. So the Safe House asked us to train them in the program, which my friend and partner in this venture, Luz Elena Orozco, who will also be at the conference. I don't speak Spanish. So she took it, taught it in Spanish, and we got this testimonial a couple days ago that brought me to my knees. Basically, what she said are these are kids who don't trust anyone, but now that they've taken the program, they want to be ballet dancers. They want to be engineers. They paint. They meditate every day. They're different. She said, they're like a garden now, whereas before they were like a grave. I mean, there are such powerful statements in her testimonial. I've reread it so many times. So if you're asking, am I glad I took this back in 2012 and that this is somehow the life I've managed to land in? I will never have enough words of thanks or gratitude. And I hope that if you're out there listening, you seriously give this conference an opportunity. It'll change your life.
Wow.
And I'll be there.
Yes, you will. And if the idea of working with kids resonates with you, anybody in the audience, Rebecca's program can be your program. You can be armed with it, downloadable workbooks, multiple languages, and let's reach some more kids. They are everything. They are pure light. They are pure love, and they soak this stuff up.
Yes, they do.
Well, Rebecca, much love and deep gratitude. You are really, you have done so much. You have brought so much. We are equally honored that we get to work and play with you. So thank you for bringing so much light.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye, Rebecca.
Bye, everybody.
So she's got two programs, one for kids and one for seniors with dementia, The Well-Traveled Soul. What a trailblazer, what a dynamo, a force of nature, Rebecca Psigoda. So now I get to introduce you to Michael Taylor from Houston, Texas. Became a certified trainer just a year ago, but he's been a student of IP for many years, Infinite Possibilities, an IPPY. He's known as the irrepressible optimist and a Black male empowerment coach. He's also a podcaster, life coach, and best-selling author of 14 books. Michael Taylor, honored.
What do you say, Mike Dooley? Boy, have I got a story for you.
Oh, yeah? Sock it to me.
All right. So approximately 20 years ago, I had gone through a divorce, bankruptcy, foreclosure, depression, and I was actually living out of my car. And so I would go to the library and I began what I'll call my journey of transformation. And so while I was at the library, I logged onto the computer and I see this picture of this guy, and it said something about deliberate creation or infinite possibilities, and it was you. I clicked on it and I started learning. And 3 things I learned from you. Thoughts become things. The word manifest. I never heard the word manifest used the way that you were using it. And also the vision board. So I'm living out of my car, right? I'm living in the backseat of my car. I bought some yellow sticky notes, and I would write on these little sticky notes things that I wanted to manifest. One of the things I wrote on one of the sticky notes that I stuck on the back seat was one day I would share a stage with Mike Dooley.
Oh my God, we're doing it now.
And now here I am on a stage with Mike Dooley. Now, also, while I was in the backseat of my car, I wrote on the sticky note that I would become a best-selling author. I knew nothing about writing books. I knew nothing about publishing books. But now, you mentioned 13 books. I've actually written 16 books. I've had 3 that were bestsellers. I've had 2 that received national attention, which was great. Another thing I wrote on a sticky note while I was living in the back of my car was that I was going to find my life partner. And I've been blissfully married for the past 23 years.
Oh
and so, yes, Mike, first of all, thank you for being the teacher, for being the teacher that guided me to the understanding that my thoughts become things. And so as a result of my own transformation of recovering and putting my life back together, again, writing books and doing seminars, what I know is that I wanted to take what I learned from you and support others. And this is what being in service means. And that's why I started writing books. I do a program called I'm Not Okay with Gray, and it's targeted to people over 50. And so it's really about helping men and women over 50 change their mindsets about aging so they can make the rest of their lives the best of their lives. And it's all based on your particular program. So again, I just want to say thank you, my brother.
I did not know this was coming. I did not know I would be in your story. I am really touched and so deeply honored. I say you wear your success well. You are an eloquent, articulate, powerful speaker. And wow, that I might have played some little role in your ascension. It doesn't get any better than that. And you did all the hard work. You created this, that somehow our paths crossed. And this vision has come to pass, sharing a virtual stage before the entire world. Michael, my gosh.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
The beautiful part about it, Mike, is yes, I believe, as you have taught me, the universe is perfect. And we attract to us the things that we need to manifest our divine purpose. And so once again, I know that this is part of my divine purpose, connecting with you to share this message with others.
And that's one of the things that I've been really, I guess, rediscovering myself. Just to share, I'm as much a student as anybody. I feel at times to be as much an impersonator as anybody. Like, who am I to teach this stuff, especially back in the day? But I have found again and again the serendipities that bring the right thing to the right person at the right time. It's like there's nothing left to chance. Anybody watching this right now, it's not by chance. You're going to be doing something like this with us on your own. Doesn't matter. Same. There's nothing left to chance. Everything that shows up has order, purpose, meaning, beauty, an invitation. And boy, did you make haste with your invitation, Michael Taylor. That's just an incredible story. Can't wait to give you a big hug in real life.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being with us now. And I know that you're going to be a featured presenter in a couple of weeks when we host our big event. Wow, what can I say? I think
everything's in divine order. And one of the things that I did want to bring up is because the universal principles that you teach, obviously in our country right now, there's a lot of racial division. And so one of the things that I've taken up on myself is to get this message to more people of color, to let them see the infinite possibilities that are there for us.
Oh my gosh. So well said and so timely. Perfect. It's the perfect synchronicities of the universe. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to invite everybody back right now. Again, Michael, thank you very, very much. I'm so touched. That was powerful. I'm going to invite everybody back, and we're going to open up a space for there to be any questions or additional teachings that we might be able to help those watching now live find answers to. And I'll share just once again that we do have a conference coming up just around the corner. Let me see my notes here. That is not the right. We've got an early bird discount until October 22. A $100 right off the top if you click the link below in your tut.com dashboard right now. If this is resonating with you, if it's not, if maybe not now, but maybe next year, 2025, we'll be doing this again. That might be ideal. In the meantime, you can go and change lives, be of service in a selfish way, as I like to put it. But November 7th through 10th will be our next and final Infinite Possibilities certification for 2024. November 7th through 10th. It's virtual. You can do it from the comfort of your home or your car, front seat or back seat. The early bird discount expires October 22nd. There's a VIP version that's, I think, $1,200. The normal cost is around $900, and then you take $100 off, and you become an IPPY for life once the 4 days are over. And then we offer free and a few for fee options to continue your ascent, whatever resonates with you. We found that many of our 3,000 IPPYs have asked for additional guidance. So we formulated ways that they can be certified in My Playing the Matrix. They can have a kind of a hand-holding program to become Trailblazer, something you'll learn about at the conference. But anyway, let's turn it over to some questions right now. Team behind the scenes, let's see. Go ahead, Reg, you can read the questions. Oh, I don't hear you.
The question that has come up is, why does serving people feel burdensome? I do not feel joy.
That was me. That was my story. It's like, I got to figure out my life. And my mom would always say, charity begins at home. Take care of business at home. But in doing that, it has brought me full circle out into the world where I want to give away copies of my books or Disney tickets and much, much, much more. If it feels like a burden, then shift the focus back to you learning how to live deliberately, create consciously. Let it be that. Let it be with an underpinning of metaphysics or applied to sales or marketing or teaching or whatever else you do in your life. I think immediately, for me and for the questioner, there's this kind of the serial reaction of like, I didn't choose to be me, not to follow my heart and go out and help everybody. Follow your heart and you will be led through your passion and purpose to be of service, and you won't even have done it intentionally. Did any of the three of you feel a sense of resistance to the idea of serving people?
I didn't, not at all. For me, I believe service is when we share our unique gifts and talents with the world. When I'm sharing my gifts and talents, there's no burden there. There's just joy, just sharing what's inside of me. So I guess that's why I've never felt a burden sharing my gifts.
Beautiful.
I would say I didn't really feel it burdensome either. The part that did possibly for me was the commitment piece. I wasn't sure that I wanted to put myself into something where I might let someone down. So for me, that was the only part. So it wasn't about what I could do for someone. It was my doubt about maybe what I couldn't do. But again, once it began, it was like a snowball effect. Once I began, offering it is where we go back to your words, Mike. You teach what you most need to learn. As I was of service, I gained more confidence in myself as someone who had something to offer. So that would be my answer.
Good. Reg?
Very similar to Rebecca. I think that I always have wanted to serve. I think my lessons that actually came in this was really also about just having learning boundaries around service. First, like learning how to accept and receive support, right? And then also to take that and give that back, and then have a boundary for myself not to burn out.
Good. Every one of us, 3,000 plus IPPYs, has found their own path. And I do think at the forefront of your next step, to the person asking the question, follow your heart. And if it's not in the direct line of service, then that's okay. That you will still be serving if you become a happy person on planet Earth. And I bet you, mark my words, you're going to come right around next year or in 12 years or whatever, and you're going to want to kind of share what you found out about how powerful we all are. If you have a question, anybody in the audience and you're watching live, please post your question now, and they will be relayed to us live On the spot. Is there a second question?
Did each speaker create a vision board? How important is this? What prompted you to create a vision board?
Nobody needs to create a vision board to be wildly, insanely successful. Okay. It's just an option. We're so inclined to succeed that we will in spite of ourselves. But when you get that your thoughts become things, and a vision board will steer your thoughts to happier things than sometimes the noise of your immediate surroundings, then why not? So I did have a vision board ever since my early 20s. How about the rest of you?
Well, as mentioned, my vision board is really what turned my life around. Because when you taught me the word manifest, and I got that in my head, it was kind of like setting goals almost. I was always good at setting goals, but when I learned to manifest that my thoughts were creating my reality, and I put it on paper, it was like making a commitment that, yes, I'm going to set an intention to make this happen. So for me, the vision board and the visuals, and the one thing you taught me was about feeling the feelings I would have before I got it, right? Just to feel that energy, and putting on that vision board allowed me to create that feeling.
Mm.
And my answer would be similar. I did not create vision boards, but I did understand that everything we want in life is motivated by a feeling that we want. So every morning I would wake up and ask myself, how do I want to feel? And there was usually a short term, like today, and then there was the long term, the bigger picture feeling. And then I'd visualize. And I'd visualize what gave me those feelings. And then I would plug that into my day, and one day at a time. And the big picture feelings were how I would feel, for example, when the kids program began, with the joy I would feel with happy, smiling kids all over the world because of the programs and because of, Mike's work. And that was an everyday thing. So as opposed to visual, I just did a lot of, making arrangements in my head to process the feelings pretty regularly.
Reg?
I did create vision boards, especially when I first learned about infinite possibilities. I saw you in The Secret. I started definitely creating a lot of vision boards. And I would say now what I do is, because in essentially the first chapter of Infinite Possibilities, we learn about visualization. So now what I do is I record a little visualization for myself using my own voice. And then I play that for myself. And that's kind of taking the place of a vision board, is my own visualization that I do. So that I can visualize and see it instead of just having pictures that I've cut out. I see it new for myself every day by listening to my visualization. And then like Michael said, I feel the feelings.
The feelings. Yes, that's why vision boards are powerful. You can have the feelings without them. What's the next question?
Can the conference be done online via live stream? I'm unable to travel right now due to a surgery. Yes, actually, all of our certifications now are online, and we do it live stream. You'll actually be in a Zoom room. Mike is right there talking to you, and we're all together in a big giant Zoom room, and there's a live chat. And the energy is palpable. So even though we're not physically in the same room, we feel each other in that room. So yes, the conference is on Zoom, November 7th through 10th. And you can do it live stream. All of the sessions are recorded, and you do have 3 weeks to watch all of the recordings in order to be certified. And then you get to keep those recordings for life.
Next question.
I live in Europe. Is it possible to attend at hours that would work in my time zone? Great question. So our conference does go from 10 a.m. to around 7 p.m. on the first night. It's a little later, US time, Eastern time. However, the small groups where you meet with a small group and a team member, those are by time zone. So they're friendly. So you would, if you were to attend, you would be in a small group probably with people from Europe in times that work for you. And for any sessions that are later after you would go to bed, you can get up the next morning because the recordings will be posted by the next morning for you to watch and catch up.
Good question. We are a very international group.
Next question. What if I don't want to be a speaker? Can I still benefit from this?
You will absolutely become a quicker, better, faster manifester, because at the conference, I review our entire 70+ page workbook that trainers will learn to teach from themselves. And so I go through all the basics, just fresh slate, take nothing for granted. It is a workshop in and of itself for unleashing your own power, but then it's buttressed by lots of talks from certified trainers like our co-presenters here, how they've done it, where they've gone, how they found an audience, whether they do it for free. Many do it in their living rooms with family and friends, or how they might create a business model around it, or a hybrid. So you'll still benefit from this program. Since we have speakers on board and authors on board, I think I'll let that be the answer. So we'll get to some extra questions.
Are scholarships available for people who may need some financial help?
Absolutely. If you click the link on the page, it'll take you to signing up for the conference, and there is a description of scholarship opportunities, which are always available, as well as monthly installment payment plan, if that would make it more feasible. The course right now with the early bird discount is $895, or $1,095, and you get special access to a private meeting of the minds with me shortly after the conference. But $895 is the base price. There are scholarships available. Definitely check out that link, clicking through below.
Next question is, what's the difference between feeling, imagination, visualization, and daydreaming? Aren't they all just forms of thought, nothing more?
Well, I don't want to be hogging the answers here, but I'll give my answer and then we'll take other answers. I think imagination, visualization, and daydreaming are exactly the same. Some might be more guided, some might be more focused, some might be, more vivid, but those three things are to dispose you of the desired emotions you'd like to experience. And when you are feeling a desired emotion, joy, euphoria, celebration, confidence, abundance, like, oh my gosh, infinite possibilities, the sky's the limit, that vibe goes out and literally rearranges the circumstances of your life vis-a-vis serendipities, so-called coincidences, happy accidents, to dispose you to new circumstances that will yield those feelings that you put out to begin with. It is our emotions that rearrange the stage of our lives. And it is our imaginings, our thoughts, our visualizations and daydreams that are to be harnessed and directed to evoke those feelings even before the manifestation has showed up, so that the manifestation will show up. Anybody else want to share? Because I know we all have feelings about that, thoughts about that.
Well, for me, when I think of imagination, I think of the imaging in of the divine ideas from the universe. And so when I get my ego mind out of the way and learn to listen to and trust the divine part of me, the imagination are the images that the universe sends to me that it wants to manifest through me.
Woo!
And then it drives the feeling of being connected to that source of the images.
Well said. You're a poet, Michael.
I love that, Michael. I was just going to say the part of, I mean, I agree with you, Mike, that imagination, visualization, and daydreaming all feel the same. But the feeling part, back in my school days, I took quantum physics and learned about how having a certain feeling has a vibration. And therefore, with the feeling, that's how you create and manifest things into matter. So I started concentrating on feelings way back then. And therefore, I feel like if there's something that I want to know why I want it. And it's because there's a feeling that I want. And therefore, I just take it. I take it from history. I take it from experience. I go, gosh, I remember when I felt so good or so scared or so whatever. And the scared one, yeah, just move that aside and replace it with, when did I feel so good? When did I feel so satisfied? When did I feel so fulfilled? When did I feel so proud of myself that I did that thing? And then recall those and then plug those into the things that I want for myself on a daily basis.
Great.
So it is about conjuring feelings. And for me, again, that's in addition to the imagination, visualization, daydreaming, but it's really a little bit different for me.
Very good, Rebecca.
You're a good teacher.
Yeah, the only thing I would just add is just that we remember that energy is everything and everywhere. And so when we combine feeling, imagination, visualization, daydreaming, when we combine all that, we change our energy. And you know that when you walk into a room or you interact with someone, you are interacting with their energy, not just them. And that's what changes things. You can change the energy of a room just by these principles and just by what you're thinking and imagining and feeling. And that is what changes our own experience of our own power, and also how we watch things open, doors open, and opportunities appear is because of the energy.
And whenever two or more are gathered toward joy, happiness, fulfillment, the energy is multiplied exponentially. And so that's what we have found in our 3,000 members, that, man, we're all out there on a mission to love life, spread the word, and live our own dreams in the process.
I would just like to add to that very quickly. Your brother, Andy, Mike's brother, Andy, spends a lot of time on this right here. So, and Andy is so full of joy, and you're going to love him. Everybody loves Andy.
Andy will be at the conference. And
Andy's at the conference. Yeah.
I've taken many enlightenment courses over the last 45 years, but I feel that I don't take the leap to full self-expression. Any insight on this?
I think that's the name of the game, that we're constantly, perpetually learning self-expression. It doesn't just happen. It's not a done deal. There's grades, there's levels. And as the council says, channeled by Sarah Landon, there's always higher, always higher. So I would say, don't be looking for an endpoint or there, now I have finally self-realized or feel full self-expression. I bet you are more fully expressed now than you were 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 10 months ago. Give yourself credit. Enjoy the ride. It's never going to end. There'll always be something you want that you don't yet have, which means you're going to get it. And then there'll be something else you want, maybe more awareness, more enlightenment. You're going to get it. But it's that process and it's that journey to be enjoyed, because it's not about, a certain point to reach. I'm still striving.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm also a seminar junkie, committed to seminars and growing. But what I've come to know is that the key is connecting to how I feel. Whenever I'm learning something, if I check in, what's in my heart, how does it make me feel? Then I know that I'm on the right path when it feels good.
I'm being reminded and taught by each of the three of you. When this is done, I know I'm going to go into a feeling zone for my own additional ascension, and I'm really excited about it. Yes, it's the feeling. All right, next question.
Is there a referral page for Infinite Possibilities somewhere for groups or people looking for this coaching so that there are client referrals?
Oh, we've never really done that, but it's a good idea.
Yeah, right now we do have a page that lists all of the Infinite Possibility trainers and where they are located. So
Oh,
if you are a trainer at the bottom of the TED, if you go to the bottom of the TED.com, very bottom, you'll see certified trainers. If you click on there, you can search and see the different trainers who are there, and it's alphabetical from A to Z.
I thought the question was about affiliate programs, like a referral payment for getting your friends to sign up, which we don't have. But yes, thank you, Reg.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask about signups? How do we know if something is a sign? Or can I ask about signs? How do we know if something is a sign from the universe, or are we just attracting it because we're focusing on it?
I asked Neil Donald Walsh that question privately. How do you know it's God talking to you and not your own imagination? And he said God replied to him. He asked that question himself. God replied to him and said, Neil, don't you think I'm big enough and smart enough to use every means available to reach you, including your imagination? And it's like, what isn't God or the divine anyway? If it showed up, it has meaning. You get to decide what that meaning is. And on the tail end of the conference I had this morning with a past life regressionist, a similar question came up. And the answer from the past life regressionist was, how did you feel about that thing that showed up? You know, did it bring tears to your eyes? Did you feel giddy? Did you have goosebumps? You can't make that up. So go to your feelings there as well, and that will give you confidence. Anybody else? Next
I think
question.
you answered that great. If I don't yet have the material abundance, why would anyone want to learn from me?
I have to keep going a little bit. Excuse me, everybody. But when I started this journey as being a teacher of metaphysics, before I even realized it was a journey on being a teacher of metaphysics, and I was just sending out the daily emails, which were free, no business model, and an opportunity came to create an audio program, which would become Infinite Possibilities, the Art of Living Your Dreams. I remember not only was I challenged financially, I mean, severely challenged and utterly terrified financially. Um, I felt I had no credibility. I felt, who am I with, no relationship, no career, not sufficient resources to be telling people how to live the life of their dreams? If they could see the conditions under which I am writing this audio program, they would not want to listen to my words of advice. I felt like the biggest imposter in the world, but I had something to say, and there is a truth. And however it may have escaped me to lead me where I was at that time during the dark night of my soul, I knew the truth still blazed brightly, and it was time to stop looking for what was wrong with me and start applying what I knew. And that meant move forward towards shining my light, living my dreams, creating abundance, formulating a business model that would wrap around these free emails. And that meant the audio program. And I told myself, your stories are old, Mike, that I was using to give myself credibility. 20-year-old stories. At age 40, I was recording this. And I remember thinking, that's okay, because you're living your best story now. And the time will come when you'll get to tell it. And I thought, yeah, that would be nice. Like my life sucks. Like, you're just kidding yourself, Mike. This is just your imagination, Mike. But dang, if that didn't happen, and I had been living my greatest story, and no one ever, as I released month after month, recording after recording, Infinite Possibilities, not one person said, yeah, what about you? Yeah, have you seen this work? Yeah, where are you in your life? If you have something to share, and if metaphysics and empowerment, thoughts becoming things, is somewhat of a passion of yours, there will be people who want to know what you have to say. And they're not going to be filtering it like, well, yeah, are they qualified to teach this? They're going to hear it in the resonance in your voice. They're going to know that you're onto something. Whether or not you've mastered it is not important to them. People will light up when they're exposed to the truth. That's what happened when The Secret, the DVD, and then the book blew up. You know, there wasn't like, well, you know, who is John Asseroff and Marcy Shimoff and Jack Canfield and Mike Dooley? Do they really know? We spoke to the truth that resonates and lies within their DNA. They knew we were talking the truth, whether or not we were living it. And so will your audience know that you have something to share.
Yeah, when I wrote my first book, Mike, I remember thinking, wait a minute, how can I write a book about success and I'm living out of my car? Because I was going to the library writing this book at the computer at the library.
Yeesh.
But like yourself, I knew I had something to say. I knew that the information that I was going to share was going to help people. And that's what allowed me to just keep pushing forward to get that book out there.
Wow. Wow. Well, everybody, we have shared what we came to share. Thank you, Regina, Rebecca, Michael. Thank you, everyone in attendance, live or watching the recording. You have the power to live deliberately and create consciously. This is what we're talking about. This is our 4 days of this during the conference is like, yes, I knew it. And then we hold your hand if you're ready to assemble your first audience of 6 people. You can meet with them 1 hour a week in your living room. And once you deliver 6 hours to 6 people, you become a trailblazer. You'll immediately become an IPPY just by attending the conference. We can't wait to meet you. Again, the links are below. It's $8.95 just for a few more days before it goes up to $9.95 in terms of price for the virtual conference, for which you will have copies available on your dashboard for life. So the conference will always be with you to rewatch Michael Taylor or Rebecca Psigoda or Regena Garrepy again and again. There is a VIP version. There's also the scholarship option, the partial payment plan. We would love to welcome you to our home as an IPPY yourself. Don't hesitate to reach out to any of us or on forums or our Facebook page if you have more questions. And we'll see you really soon on November 7th, right?
Yes. See you then.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thoughts become things. You are adored. We love you. We love you. We love you.